We have a special random Kings fan interview with Alexandra Grace on this edition of Locked On LA Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Kings fans, welcome to Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On LA Kings your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. I'm Eddie Garcia, your host of Locked On LA Kings. I've worked in sports media for the past 30 years. Also co-host of the Puck Podcast, a weekly NHL review show that's been putting out content for the last 18 years, and a passionate LA Kings fan for over 30 years. The Kings still have a couple of days off as we're in the Four Nations face-off break. The big rematch coming up on Thursday in the championship between the USA and Canada. Looking forward to that. So we do have some time for a couple of special features, and I'm excited about today's random Kings fan interview. Joining us is Alexandra Grace, who is not only a Kings fan, but has done some very cool videos involving Kings players and is even an aspiring entrepreneur with some Kings things as well. Hey, Alexandra, welcome to the show. Thanks for doing this. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Really excited to have you on. I like to get a variety of different voices involving the Kings on the show. And you are the first female Kings fan we've had for our fan feedback shows. And I'm pretty sure you're representing the next generation of Kings fans as well as one of the younger viewers or Kings fans that we've had on the show. So pretty cool to have you as far as those two things.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for having me.
So I do want to ask you, before we get into you as a Kings fan and some of the things you've done, just about a little bit about you personally, and feel free to share whatever you want. But are you originally from the area? Do you go to school? What do you do? Anything like that you want to share other than who you are as a Kings fan?
Yeah, so I am born and raised in Los Angeles. I live in the Valley. So kind of in the area, kind of not, how the LA traffic is. I just graduated high school last year, so I'm going to community college just to get some credits done and hopefully transfer in the next couple years. I don't do it a lot now, but I would like to soon. But in high school, I did a lot of journalism work. I was at my high school's journalism program for all 4 years, and I served as senior editor, junior editor, and sophomore editor.
All right. And obviously you're here because you are a Kings fan. So how did you get into hockey? How did you become a Kings fan?
Honestly, my dad really got me into it. So I have a twin brother, and ever since we were little, my parents always took us to games and everything. And I was a fan when I was little, but I feel like it really started to kick in when I was like kind of in middle school, like 5th grade kind of. And funny enough, my brother actually could not care less, and I'm the one that loves it now. But yeah, I definitely credit my dad for getting me into hockey.
Well, if people that follow you or don't follow you on social media, you've done some special videos, which we're going to get into in a little bit. You post a lot of pictures of you at games, and I think even at practices as well. So pretty clearly, the Kings have become a really big part of your life, haven't they?
Yeah, totally. I mean, honestly, I don't know what I would be doing without the Kings. I feel like they consume a lot of my time, and I'm not mad about it. Honestly, I love going to games, practice, whatever. I just love just being around the team, being around hockey. I love it. So fun.
So I discovered you on X and Twitter. You're at Adrian Kempe for anyone who wants to follow you. And in your X bio, you call yourself a Swedish hockey player enthusiast. Clearly, you're a big Adrian Kempe fan. Tell us a little bit about that. How did you become such a Kempe fan?
Honestly, so I would definitely credit me being a big fan of hockey to Adrian, because he was kind of coming up on the Kings as I was really getting into it. But I was 11 at the time, so he became my favorite player, honestly, just because I thought he was cute. But as I started watching the game more, like, I've just really seen him evolve as a player, and I just love his skill set. I love his drive, and he's just like, honestly, I just am so like happy to see him evolve into such a great player over the years.
Yeah, I agree. He's kind of become one of my favorite players too. I just love how he has that all-around game. Obviously, he's a scorer, but he's not afraid to play defense. He can play with a little bit of an edge. He's not afraid to mix it up a little bit. He does have some attitude. He's got a little swagger to his game, which is a lot of fun too. So have you been following Kempe and Drew Doughty at all in the Four Nations face-off? Have you been watching that? And as a hockey fan, have you enjoyed that event?
Yeah, definitely. I was watching the Sweden game. I catch every game I can. I do love the Four Nations face-off, but I will say I'm a huge All-Star game fan. I do love the All-Star game. I love, going to it has always been a lot of fun for me. I went to the one in Vegas where Adrian was an All-Star, and I went to the one here. So I do love Four Nations. Personally, I would like a best of both worlds where we could have both. But I have really enjoyed it so far. The championship game will be really exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Unfortunately, Adrian Kempe not a part of it, but Drew Doughty will be in there
Yes.
for Team Canada. And while we're rooting for Drew to do well, I think we're also rooting for the USA maybe to win.
Yeah.
I did see something I wanted to ask you about. You posted a picture today on X of an Adrian Kempe Sweden jersey, and I know you're into hockey jerseys, so am I. I get to wear them for my show every day. So I get to actually, have some wardrobe and wear them more than just going to games. But I've been looking for a Kempe Sweden jersey. I know some of our listeners and viewers have as well. Did you find where people can buy one? I wanted to ask you about that picture that you found and any information you can share about getting a Kempe Sweden jersey.
So randomly enough, I was just like totally scouring the internet for any Sweden jersey I could find because I saw that they came out on the NHL site and they were like the $400 ones. And I was like, they don't have I like to buy like the smaller size anyways. So they didn't have my size in that. So I was just looking everywhere I could to see if I could find one. And funny enough, I bought it from Altitude Authentics, which is like the Denver Nuggets and Colorado Avalanche, like their kind of team store. And they managed to customize it for me and it looks great. So if they're still doing that, I would say check out them because they did a great job with mine.
Yeah, it looks amazing, and those jerseys are pretty awesome. I actually have a Team Sweden jersey. I couldn't find it. It's like in storage somewhere. I went looking for it before the tournament. I was going to wear it on the show, but unfortunately, I couldn't find it. But do you know how many? I don't know how many jerseys I have. It's probably between 25 and 30. Do you have a pretty good collection going as well?
Yeah, I just counted the other day. Actually, I think with my newest edition, I think I'm up to maybe 42 now or something like that.
Wow.
And I think 14 of them are Kempe jerseys. So he's the majority of my collection.
Well, it's a good jersey to have because he's obviously turned into one of the better Kings players and hopefully has a lot more career for him to go. We're just getting started with Alexandra Grace. I want to talk to her about some really cool videos that she has done with the Kings that you may or may not know about. We'll talk about that next here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. Hey, looking for a snack that is both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each serving is got 6 grams of protein, each 1 ounce serving, and it gives you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you feel fuller longer. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days, whether you're at your desk or on a road trip or just need a quick protein boost. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete source of protein, providing all 9 essential amino acids. Whether you're running between meetings or dropping off the kids, Wonderful Pistachios is the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snackin' and get crackin' with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit Wonderful Pistachios to learn more. All right, we are continuing with Alexandra Grace. Again, you can follow her on X and Twitter at 9Kempe. And one thing I've noticed that you're not only a huge Kings fan, but you also support some former Kings as well. I know you were a big supporter of Pierre-Luc Dubois when he was on the team. I think you're still rooting for him now that he's in Washington. I know you're a big Sean Durzi fan. He's now in Utah. And I saw a picture of you and Blake Lizotte. I don't know if that was when he came back to LA now that he's with Pittsburgh. And I'll admit that when players leave the Kings, I certainly don't root against them, but I'm not as enthusiastic about them as maybe I once was, other than some of the legends like Jonathan Quick or Alec Martinez. But you still really root for the former Kings. Talk about that a little bit.
Honestly, as for PLD, I have been a huge fan of him since he was drafted. I know there's a lot of controversy about him and his play, but I really love him as a person too. So I've been following him his whole career. So it's hard for me not to let go once they move on because I'm already used to him, cheering for him on other teams. But as for Sean Durzi, I will support him wherever he goes. Like, he has just been one of my favorite players, like, even when he was on the Kings, and he's just, like, such a nice person. I think that makes it easier to cheer for them when they move on. And same with like Lazat, like he is one of a kind person. Yeah, those kind of guys I'll obviously cheer for. Same with Quickie wherever he goes. But yeah, I don't know. It just, some of them I kind of don't follow as much, but some of them I like will follow anywhere they go. It's funny.
Well, it's probably a little different for you, and we'll talk about this because you have interactions with them. It's not just watching them on the TV like some fan might. You actually kind of get to know them a little bit and have conversations with them. But we have talked about on this show. I'm sure you know the trade deadline is coming up, and there's speculation about players that possibly could be on the move. I know Jordan Spence's name has been mentioned a bit, and I'm a big Jordan Spence fan, and it's never easy to see something like that. But you also want the team to be as good as they can be. For a fan like you that does get attached to these guys, is the trade deadline time kind of a tough time for you?
Oh yeah, I hate the trade deadline. Like every year I dread it. I mean, especially hearing Spenny's name and these kind of things. I love him. Like I think he's a great player and he's a great person. Like hearing some of my favorite players' names in the mix is never easy, is never nice. I've definitely shed a lot of tears over the trade deadline. So hopefully I won't be doing too much of that this year, but you never know.
Well, I follow you on X and Twitter, I've mentioned, and I was able to see you do a couple of special holiday videos, one in October for Halloween, one in December for Christmas. And you were able to stop Kings players as they were leaving the practice facility there in El Segundo. And you asked them their favorite Halloween candy, and then the other one was their favorite Christmas movie. And it was really fun to see. You did a great job with it. And you get to learn a little bit more about the players, right? But how did you come up with that idea, and how were you able to kind of pull that off?
Honestly, I just do it because I love to show a different side of the players. You know, a lot of the times when they get interviewed and stuff like that, it's about the game and it's about hockey. But I want to switch it up and ask them something fun so people can see their personality a little bit more. You know, when they're driving out, they expect people to have things for them to sign or whatever, but I'm just there with my little microphone asking my silly question. But they've given me great answers and they have been really, you know, supportive of what I asked. Like, I think last time I did it, Gavrikov pulled out and he was like, "Oh no," he's like, "What is it today?" But they kind of know my whole kind of situation, and yeah, I just like to show their personality a little bit more than, you know, what we see from the game.
And obviously, the players were obviously supportive of stopping and talking real quick. Does security ever try to shoo you away, or is there any issues with that, or they're fine with you kind of going up to the players as they're kind of driving off?
Normally they're pretty fine. They really don't have, you know, such strict security back there because I think they expect people to kind of, you know, wait there anyways. But it's up to like the players' discretion, like whether they want to talk or not. So I'm grateful that they've given me, you know, the time to ask them my questions.
Yeah, no problem. You're right about that. They all seem really accommodating. I will flip the tables on you though a little bit here. What is your favorite Halloween candy, and what is your favorite Christmas movie?
I think my favorite Halloween candy is probably Reese's or Sour Patch Kids. Kind of one of the two. My favorite Christmas movie. Oh God, I don't know. Maybe not really a traditional Christmas movie, but maybe Love Actually. I'd really like
Oh,
that movie, or maybe like Elf or one of those, like, you know, more traditional ones.
yeah, yeah. I would have to say the Reese's peanut butter cups for me, and Elf, and I think Elf was probably the winner. I don't remember. That was a pretty popular answer among the players. Um, and there again on social media, I know you've had pictures of you with some of the players at practice. So you're kind of a familiar face to them. I mean, you like going to the practices and getting to interact with them and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, totally. When Brendan Lemieux was on the Kings, they had this, like, you know, their annual Kings Festival, and I had gone to his line and I had talked to him, and then the last thing he said to me was like, "What are you still doing here? Like, you have to go home and get to bed. We have practice tomorrow." I'm like, "I have school tomorrow. Like, I can't come, but thank you that you're expecting me there."
Well, I mean, I'm a media guy. I've talked to players plenty of times, and I still sometimes do get a little nervous when I talk to the players because I'm still a fan. I can't take that part out of me, even though I act professional and conduct myself the right way. But when you go up to a guy like Anze Kopitar, even though I'm older than him, it is still a little intimidating to do. So it certainly takes some courage for you to kind of go up to these guys and talk to them. Has that been something that's been kind of difficult, or are you kind of at ease with doing that kind of thing?
A little bit of both. I think, you know, it takes me a second to kind of get into my groove a little bit with them, but at the start, I definitely do get nervous. I think, you know, the fact that I've kind of spoken to them a lot over the years, like they know kind of what I'm about. Like, it's just, definitely get more nervous around newer players because I'm like, I don't know how they're going to react to like whatever I have to say. But like, the ones that have been around a while, like Adrian and Kopi, like I kind of, am more comfortable with them. But still, it's hard not to get nervous. Anytime I talk to them or ask for a picture, I'm kind of like still a little like scared.
So is this just the holiday thing, or do you have any other ideas about any videos you might do coming up?
I definitely do have a lot of other ideas. So, kind of not holiday based, just more fun questions. Yeah, I definitely have a notes page of some potential questions to ask. So maybe I'll get around to it soon.
Yeah, well, you did a great job with those, and hopefully we can see more of those, and it's definitely fun to watch. Do you have a favorite Kings fan player story that you would share, or any kind of fun interactions that you've had with any Kings players over the years?
Oh, I mean, honestly, there's so many. It's kind of hard to recall off the top of my head, but I would say maybe one with Adrian. I had him sign a jersey a couple years ago, and I had mentioned it was maybe like my 11th or 12th of his, and he was like, "That's more than I have," and it's his, and I'm like, okay, like maybe I'm overdoing it, but so I'm gonna get the newest Kempe jersey whenever it comes out. I don't know what else there is. It's hard to remember off the top of my head, but there are definitely a lot of memorable ones in there.
All right, we've got some more coming up with Alexandra Grace, and we're going to talk a little bit about kind of a side business she has involving the Kings and their fans as well. That's next here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. NBA action is just getting started. There's no better place for you to get in on that than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off, or you want to be in on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in on the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets with a same-game parlay. FanDuel's live betting feature keeps you engaged in every moment of the game, keeps it exciting. And whether you're backing your team for a late-game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch three-pointer, the app is easy to use, and when you win, you get paid instantly. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, a little bit more with Kings fan Alexandra Grace. And not only a Kings fan, but maybe an aspiring entrepreneur. We'll get into that in just a second. But I did want to say I'm married to a super fan, and you kind of remind me of my wife, Karen, a little bit. She is a diehard LA Chargers fan. It started back when they were in San Diego and continues while they're here. And she's one of those fans she goes to training camp. She meets the players. She even knows their families a little bit. And I know she follows you on X and Twitter, and I have helped her to become a Kings fan. And I have a question from her for you coming up, but you have launched an Etsy shop and you do some custom bedazzled jerseys. And we've got some pictures here of this a little bit, but maybe tell me how you got into this. Was it just something that you did for yourself and thought that maybe this is something that I could do for other fans as well?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, as a girl, I love sparkles, can't deny that. So anything that has a little bling to it, I love. And, just walking around the concourse at Crypto, you see a lot of jerseys, but nothing really like sticks out. Like they're all just kind of, just jerseys. You just see someone wearing a jersey. So I wanted to be a little different and make something that stands out. And yeah, I love mine so much. So I think why not share it with other people?
So for people watching on YouTube, you'll see this. We'll describe it for the folks that are just watching on the podcast. But here is one of your Adrian Kempe jerseys, kind of the old home plate logo in the front, and bedazzled all around and inside the number 9. And here's the back of it. And you can see the entire number 9 is filled. Are they crystals? Is that the right word to use to describe what these are? Yeah, this looks like it takes a lot of work, Alexandra, and maybe a lot of patience as well. And here's one. I think this is the back of a Letterman's jacket you have. That is the kind of the Chevy logo, the LA Kings, just completely bedazzled and blinged out with the crystals. Talk a little bit about how much time that takes and all the work that goes into that.
So the jersey that I did, that was my first bedazzle project. So I don't know if it was just because it was my first one or because it's, kind of a big project with, the front and the back and the numbers and everything. But that one took me about 2 months.
Mhm.
But it's, have to have a lot of patience. I stick every single crystal on one by one. So it definitely took a while with that. But the jacket actually only took me about 5 days. So that wasn't that
Wow.
bad. Maybe my timing is getting a little better as I go.
Yeah, that was the question from my wife because she does have an old Jonathan Quick jersey with some crystals on it, but it's just kind of the outside of the number. It's not like the completely filled in, I don't think, but she does have that. She has some Chargers ones as well that a friend of hers has done for her. But it takes, you said, I guess it depends on what it is, how long it takes for you to have to do that.
Yeah, it definitely depends. I mean, maybe if I do another jersey, maybe it'll take me less time, but I think just because it was my first one, just kind of, learning the ropes and figuring out how to do it and make it look good. I think that's what took me the longest. But yeah, definitely was a long process, but I'm so happy with how it turned out. It looks great.
So for people who aren't on social media, is there an Etsy store that they can go to, or how do they um, go to this and try and get a jersey bedazzled by you?
Yeah, so my Etsy is actually linked in my X bio, but if you don't have social media, it should just be if you go on Etsy and look up Bedazzled by Alexandra, then it should come up. But yeah, that's where I do my listings.
Is this just kind of a fun hobby for you, or do you have any kind of interest in fashion design or anything like that?
A little bit of both. My mom is like super into fashion, so she definitely has, influenced me a little bit, but I think it's just like fun to do. Like it's just something I can sit and do and like have fun with. Like it's not something that, follows a lot of rules. I can like put my own spin on it. So it's definitely fun for me as a hobby. I definitely like have an itch to bedazzle all the time. I'm like, what am I gonna do next? But yeah, a little bit of both.
Well, I know you said you worked for your school newspaper in high school, and I've been in broadcasting for a long time. I don't know if you're interested in doing something like that, but you present yourself very well. I'm impressed with some of the stuff you've done. You talked about the little interviews you did for the Halloween and the Christmas stuff, and I think if you wanted to go that route, I think maybe you could be the next Carlin Baith or somebody like that if you're interested in that. I think you've got some talent.
Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely a goal of mine. I mean, I don't want to replace her or take her job, but she is definitely someone that I totally look up to ever since I was like 8. I think I've always just loved watching her do what she does.
Yeah, well, she's been on this show before, and she certainly has worked her way up from being on the ice crew all the way and in-game presentation. So she's a good person to model yourself after because she's definitely a hard worker. And but like I said, if this is something you want to get into, I think you definitely have a talent for that. I did want to ask you about the team this year. How you feel about how the team's played so far, and are you optimistic about maybe some playoff success this year, which we haven't had in a little while?
Honestly, it feels kind of weird saying that I'm happy with the way the Kings are playing, not in a mean way, but just because, I've been watching them for so long. I'm used to the struggles of like the 2018 season. Like I've seen them at their lows. So it's good to see them at their highs, but I'm also like oddly optimistic. Like I'm not used to having this feeling, but I definitely think, the home success has contributed a lot to their overall success. I love seeing them play at home. And honestly, it's just great, to pull out a win for all the fans. But I do kind of feel like maybe there's a little playoff success. I don't know about finals or anything like that, but I'm hoping that a first round we'll advance out of that.
And does your family have? Do you have season tickets? I know you're at a lot of games. Would you guys have season tickets, or have you had them in the past, or anything like that?
Yeah, we have season tickets. I've been going and we've had season tickets, I think, since maybe like 2019, something like that. We've always gone, but we just thought it'd be easier. Why not get the season tickets? We're practically going to every game anyway, so might as well.
Is it kind of a family thing still, or do you have have you gotten any of your friends involved and interested in hockey as well? Do they understand how much you love this, and do they get it, or are they kind of like, we don't understand why you're into this so much, or have you kind of converted anybody into being a Kings fan?
A little bit of both. Most of the time I go with my parents because my dad is still a huge fan. He's been a Kings fan for about 30 or 40 years. So I go with him most of the time. I have converted a few of my friends. Some of them really, really don't get it. But I've brought a couple of my friends out to a game before. I had like my birthday and like we hosted a suite and that was really cool. A lot of them, got to watch. It's different seeing it in person than on TV. Like And especially the game I took them to, there was a fight. So, that definitely gets everyone going. But one of my best friends too, she loves going now. We go, every time we can, but she has definitely gotten into it because of me.
Well, it's very cool. One of the things I love about sports is it can bring a lot of different people together. I don't know how much you and I would have in common other than hockey, but certainly, we go to Kings games. We're in our jerseys. We're cheering them on. And so it's like we're a part of a really cool family. So great to have you on here. Great to share your story. And I do want to let you let people know, obviously, Twitter, we talked about it at 9Kempe. Is there any other platforms that you want to let people know where they can follow you as a Kings fan?
Yeah, so I have an Instagram. I do post. I try to post as much as I can, but honestly, I'm used to posting on X, so I kind of forget to. But my more professional Instagram is just called Alex Grace Media. And then I also have a YouTube, which is just my name, Alexandra Grace. It's linked in all my accounts have the same link tree kind of thing where you can find all my other socials. So yeah, I have a YouTube, not good at posting on there, but I do want to get better at that. But yeah, those are my two main other ones.
Well, Alexandra, it's great to have you on. Really appreciate you giving some of us your time and to share your story. And again, if you don't follow her on X and Twitter or other platforms, to go back and at least check out those awesome videos with the players and their Halloween candy and their Christmas movies. A lot of cool pictures on there and as well. It's great to have you as part of the Kings family. You're doing a great job and looking forward to seeing what the future holds for you, but keep doing what you're doing and keep representing the Kings. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me again. This was awesome.
All right. Thank you so much. And we really appreciate you.
Thank
All right. That was Alexandra Grace. I hope you guys enjoyed that and check out her Etsy store and definitely follow her on social media. She's a great follow if you're a Kings fan. And obviously, if you're watching this, you definitely are. So appreciate her time and her coming on with us. All right, if you want to be involved in any of our fan feedback shows, we've got one coming up on Friday. The email address is lockedoneddie@gmail.com, EDDIE. Of course, you can always leave your comments in the comments section if you're watching on YouTube and stay interactive with the show on X, Twitter, and Instagram. We are at Locked On LA Kings. I'm Eddie Garcia. Thank you for listening and watching this episode of Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. And as always, go Kings, go.